What would you do if you woke up one morning and you could no longer see, hear, or use your legs?
Well, it's a situation many of us would never want to find ourselves in, but it is the reality for many road crash victims.
Indeed. Now, as we remember the survivors of road crashes, have you imagined what they go through from the time they are involved in an accident and through the recovery journey?
Well, Enock Sikolia takes you closer to their lives in Citizen TV's special Costly Crashes. Take a look.
It's 5 o'clock and in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, everyone appears to be going somewhere. A good number are headed home, and others to either meetings or entertainment joints. Kenyan drivers will make you think that they are participating in a Diamond League competition and the winner will get a trophy. It's like they never see such warnings, causing untold suffering to many innocent people and changing life's fortunes for countless more. Jacinta Nyokabi arrives for work at 9 a.m. but 8 years ago, she would have been walking much faster and more comfortably. In just one instance, her life was shattered and changed forever.
That is 17th November 2010. I was assigned on duty to go to Embu. By the time we reached at a place called Kambiti, a vehicle that was overtaking on the wrong side at a corner hit us. Actually, we were hit head-on. And it happened so fast. The vehicle that was overtaking was too fast. By the time we saw it, we had no place. That road is not wide enough such that our driver would have gotten a place to escape and give him space to pass. When the driver who was overtaking tried to get back to the queue, which had many vehicles trying to go up the hill, he didn't find space. So he came and hit us head-on. I just had a bang that lasted for very many months. You know, I could hear the bang once again because it was too loud. People were just looking at us when we were down there on the road. You know, the three of us plus the other guys who hit us, we were 5 of us. But our driver couldn't leave the vehicle and he was trapped inside. It took another vehicle to pull the two vehicles for him to be taken out of the vehicle.
There is nothing more scaring than a vehicle rolling several rounds down a ditch. But for survivors of road crashes, the experience turns into a lifelong patch of terror. We have come here, Kenya's parliament, to meet Danita Gati, a nominated member of parliament. She is a survivor of a road crash. It happened in 2014, just a year after her election as the first woman representative of Migori County, an event that changed her life.
You know, I was on my way back to Nairobi. It was on a Tuesday. You know, I came all the way from Migori to somewhere in Ntulele area. I was actually belted. I was reading my daily press newspaper. And all of a sudden I had this loud bang. The car basically just started, moving out of the road. You know, the next time I realized we were actually rolling. We rolled almost like 3 times before, the vehicle came to a stop. But I realized that we were already in a ditch, and in a matter of minutes, people were there and trying to pull me out and trying to pull my other occupants out. Now, in a moment, we found ourselves in Narrate District Hospital.
So at the scene of the accident, when I was down there and I was able to call before the pain took over and I felt like I was becoming unconscious, I started sweating and the pain took over the whole body. I realized I couldn't stand until we came to Thika level 5. All of us, like potatoes.
It was this time that Jacinta and her colleagues who were involved in the accident realized their driver didn't make it.
Do you know what you see on movies? That is exactly what was happening to me. And I realized I had multiple fractures. I had broken my left leg femur twice, and my hip had completely crushed, and my femur at the same time on the right. So actually my right hip is artificial. Total hip artificial. But that time the doctor tried to reconstruct it.
I went in through the surgery process, and they actually found that I had a spinal dislocation. And the spine is the engine of the body. It's everything apart from the heart. The next is the spine. So, so my doctor basically kind of, he put in some, these nuts. I stayed in hospital for about 1 week before I was again airlifted to India. More for a lot of rehabilitation, and the entire process of healing actually took place while I was in India. But I can tell you for sure that it is a life-changing experience, suffering a road accident. It is something that you are not really, nobody expects.
Do you know how you can do this? I couldn't do. My leg was going backward. I never believed that one day it would lift. If you look at my photo, I have a support for the leg to be like this.
We head to Kenyatta National Hospital, Kenya's biggest referral facility. We are here to meet Dr. Njiru. He is a neurosurgeon who has handled over 100 road traffic accidents this year alone. He tells us what could lead to severe and life-changing injuries when one is involved in a road crash.
Vehicles have been designed to withstand some sort of stress. But for instance, if you don't belt up, either because you're sitting at the back or you feel you're not the driver, you're not required to, then that aggravates the manner of injuries. Because when a car comes to a sudden halt, you're likely to be thrown because of the movement that the car already had, what we call the inertia of movement. Meaning the car will come to a sudden halt, but the human being will continue moving at the same speed. So you can imagine if you have a child who is not belted and the car comes to a sudden halt, even if the child was in the back seat, a child will be hurtled through the front window and have an impact with the other vehicle on the other side. Bigger adults will tend to hurt their heads, sever their necks, right? When you hear, because most of the time your head will impact and your body will twist. So we have quite a number of these patients who have multiple grievous injuries simply because they did not belt up.
As I am the way I am, the fact that I had the belt saved my life.
And then now you have the initial responders, what we call the first responders, who are at the accident site. Once they hear the bang, they come rushing. The first thing they do, they basically pull out the doors and extract the patient. This, again, we've noted has contributed significantly to the severity of the injuries. For instance, somebody might have a spine injury, right? That is more or less stable. But now the fellow will be dragged by his feet or by his hands, twisting his neck, further aggravating the injury. So a fellow who probably had a broken neck now has, in addition to the broken neck, now a transected spinal cord, and that patient basically becomes paralyzed from the neck downwards.
Among the first responders are police officers, most of whom have little knowledge about handling crash survivors. Dr. Njiru is advising that should change. His recommendations:
the policemen should be taught, right, to have, because they have a lot of vehicles now. They outnumber the ambulances which we have on the roadside. So if those police vehicles are kitted with a board, with collars, with at least a drip, and a policeman is taught how to insert a drip, they'll save life within that golden hour, as we call it, because everything happens within that first golden hour. If you don't manage it well, then you lose the patient.
After 2 months in India, Danita Gatti was to come back home. She's much better now, but she has to deal with an enduring psychological challenge.
The expectations everyone had at home was that I'm coming back from India when I am walking. Because I left Nairobi Hospital when I was not walking. I had difficulty in walking and standing very firmly. And so my family thought, this is a member of parliament. She has access to, healthcare. She has actually gone out of the country. Even me, by the time I was leaving India, obviously I was in denial. I was like, do I really go back home? Because my people expect me to be walking. And I could see when I came back from India at the airport, my family, everybody was disappointed.
The government has in the last few days enhanced a crackdown that aims at getting rid of rogue PSVs and motorists off the Kenyan roads. A report by the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, says death from road accidents hit 2,495 by October this year, an increase from 2,200 deaths registered by October 2017.
Na hakuna kilele mingi, kila mtu anasema tu pole pole pole, na watu wamekufa. Maisha ya watu, hao ni watu tumeshika na tumewasahau.
But the data doesn't capture well the number of people who have developed lifelong complications owing to such crashes.
There are many things I cannot be able to do now that I used to do. If a scare came here like a bomb, I can't run.
It took me so long to realize that I was actually in the disability world because I was extremely in denial.
There is also social stigma. I remember one time I was going to pay my school fees at a cooperative bank that is at Parklands, and I was in a wheelchair. And the first thing the guard saw me and asked me, hey, stop, what do you want? Like, he probably saw me as a beggar.
I mean, sometimes you want to get into a building or you want to go to a place that you ever used to go. And you find that you can actually never, because those are stairs, those are staircases. And so you are like, oh my God, it just takes you back. You're like, this place, I could get into this building and actually transact my business in this building. And now that I'm on a wheelchair, I actually have to send somebody. I have to send my assistant all the time, go get, even if it is, even as easy as going into a bank, issues of bank. Those are private affairs.
One time I went to the toilet, and I had this screw on my left knee that was loose. And what it did, it changed the direction of how it was supposed to take place. Na ikachoma nyama. I couldn't stand, I couldn't walk. And then the other right leg, which has a nerve issue, I couldn't stand with it. So I started screaming. And you can see me literally holding on the walls and trying to come out of the toilet. I managed to open, yes, I had dressed up, to straighten that screw, for it to go back to its right position, to come from mahali liko imedunga, it was very painful for me.
Enock Sikolia, Citizen TV, Nairobi.